All right, I forgot to record the lesson today, so I'm going to try and do this again and record it. If you hear my dogs barking, just ignore them. I may have to pause the video, but as people come in and out, because there's no place that's quiet in my house. All right, so we're going to start with example number 6 in your notes. Excuse me, in this one, they're going canoeing. And Jonathan does not like the other people, so he pushes the canoe with a force of 46 newtons. But if you have any experience being in the water, like in the pool or even on the lake, if you push off of one thing, that thing may move, but so will you. So we're going to look at this in, sorry, we've got two separate things going on here. We have Jonathan's canoe. Let me scroll down here and show you what I'm talking about, this picture. So you have canoe 1 right here and canoe 2 right here. And so as he pushes that canoe that direction with 46 newtons of force, he is also pushing his canoe the other direction with 46 newtons of force. And so both canoes are going to move. So if we come back up here, what we're going to do is first we have to find the acceleration of each canoe. So we know the force is the same. We know the mass of canoe 1 and the mass of canoe 2. And remember that force is equal to mass times acceleration. And so force divided by mass is acceleration. So the acceleration of canoe 1 is equal to 46 newtons divided by 150 kilograms. The acceleration of canoe 2 is 46 newtons divided by 250 kilograms. So the acceleration for the first canoe is 0.31 meters per second squared, and it's to the left in our picture. That's this one down here. And then the other one is 0.18 meters per second squared, and that is to the right. So that's part A. Part B wants to know the separation of the canoes after 1.2 seconds of pushing. We're looking for displacement. So for canoe 1, I'm looking for delta x of canoe 1. I know the acceleration, and I know that the initial velocity is 0, and I know the time is 1.2 seconds. For canoe 2, I'm looking for, again, delta x. I know the acceleration, and I know that v initial is 0, and I know the time. So really the only thing different is their accelerations. So you're looking for an equation that has delta x, acceleration, v initial, and time. And so you would use the delta x equals v initial times t plus 1/2 at squared equation. And since v initial is 0, that becomes that term becomes 0, and so we're just using the 1/2 at squared. So x1 is 1/2 times 0.31 times 1.2 squared, and x2 is 1/2 times 0.18 times 1.2 squared. And so you get 0.22 meters over for canoe 1, and canoe 2 you get 0.13 meters. So the total distance between them, you just add those two together, And so the total distance that's going to separate these canoes, this distance right here, is going to be 0.35 meters. The other thing that we talked about in class today, we kind of skipped around because I want to get through some things so that you can do a little bit on Wednesday, the e-learning day. So we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but we're going to go back and do the slides that we've skipped over. So we're on slide 26 right now. And just to make sure you understand the difference between mass and weight, mass is the measure of how much matters in an object, and weight is the measure of the force of gravity pulling down on that object. So no matter where you are or what the gravity is, where you're at, your mass will never change, but your weight will change depending on where you're at. So here on Earth, gravity is pretty much around 9.8 meters per second squared, no matter where you're at. Although it is slightly less at on the highest mountaintop than it is on, at sea level. Not enough to really make any difference. But if you go to the moon, gravity is 1/6 of what it is on Earth, and so your weight is a lot less. And so you need to be able to calculate weight. And so I'm going to go back to the Miro board and show you how to calculate weight. You need to put this on your note card. So I'm going to scroll some more. And so on your note card, you'll want to write that Fg is equal to m times g, where Fg is the force of gravity or the weight, m is the mass and it has to be in kilograms, and g is, you can either use 9.8 or 10. I'm going to use 10 just because it makes things so much easier when you're doing your calculations. So it's super easy to calculate. In fact, you can even store g in your calculator. Now, I don't know how to do it on some of these fancier ones, but if we take and we want to store something, type it in, you hit store. Whoops, that didn't work. Let's clear that. I'm going to type in I can't make it any smaller. So 10, and then I'm going to hit store, and then I want to store it in a letter. So I'm going to say alpha, and I'm going to store it under the letter G, which is right there. Now, if I hit my second function and I hit recall, and I hit alpha. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. It'll pull it back up. Okay, let's see. So if I have a 20 kilogram box and I want to find its weight, alpha G. It does it for me. So you don't even have to hit recall. You can just hit G. So, but you can do whatever the number is times 10 in your head. So you don't really need to do that either. But if you wanted to. Okay. So where we're going with this is eventually we're going to do diagrams called free body diagrams, and we're going to be solving problems where weight is a factor. So not eventually, we are going to. So like right now, look at this example. It's example number 9. So you can see the answers already there, but just ignore them. So after a frustrating day of canoeing, he's going to play with his box Carl, and the mass is 20 kilograms. And it says if he's lifting the box up with a constant velocity, with what force is he lifting the box? So let's look at what's going on. He's got a box, and he's going to lift it. Well, what do you have to overcome in order to lift it? To lift something, you have to overcome the force of gravity. So the force of gravity acts downward, and that is the weight. And so the weight is going to be equal to the mass of the box times g, which is 10 meters per second squared. So for A, Fg is equal to 10 kilograms times 10 meters per second squared. And so that would be 200 newtons. So in order to lift it with a constant velocity, that means there's no acceleration. Acceleration is equal to 0, and so that means there's no net force. So if there's no net force, that means that everything has to be equal. So that means that our upward forces have to equal our downward forces. And so you have to overcome the force of gravity and no more than that. So that means that he has to lift the box with a force equal to that of gravity. So the answer would be 200 newtons. So just a quick little thing about that. When you are applying a force, you'll see I'll note it as FAPP for applied. Some sources that you look at, like if you look at some teachers or people who make videos or their different websites, they might say F with an A for applied. And so that's what this force is right here, the 200 newtons. He's applying that force. Okay, so for part B is a little different because in part B, he's starting at rest while it's on the ground again, but this time he's lifting it. It starts from rest, and then after 2 meters, it's now moving at 3 meters per second. That implies that it's accelerating. And so if an object is accelerating, that means there's a net force. Net force is the sum of all the forces. So he has to be applying a force that is going to overcome gravity and also cause him to accelerate. So the net force acting on it is the applied force minus the force of gravity. And that's what causes it to accelerate. So the net force is going to be mass times acceleration. So these two things are equal to each other. So if we look at and draw a picture, look at the box and draw a picture, we know that the force of gravity is 200 newtons. And he's got to cause it to accelerate. Well, what's our acceleration? Okay, well, we know that the initial velocity is 0. We know that the final velocity is 3 meters per second. We know that delta y is 2 meters, and we're looking for a. So I can only use the VF squared equation here. I'm going to plug it in. So 9 divided by 4 will give us an acceleration, and that works out to be 2.25. So that's the first thing we have to do. Oh, that doesn't look very good. Like, that's not going to stand out to you guys as a step number 1. Let's change the color. So that's step number 1. And so now step number 2 is we're going to plug it into F equals ma to find the force. So let me change the color back again. So the net force is equal to the mass times the acceleration. And I don't remember what that turns out. 45. I'm trying to remember what it comes out to be. 45 newtons. And so we know that we have this box and it's 200 newtons. We want it to accelerate upward. So whatever this force is, it has to overcome gravity, which is 200 newtons, plus the 45 newtons to make it accelerate. And so that would be 245 newtons would be the force that has to be applied.